Your Excellency, friends, trustees, Noon scholars, supporters, it's such a great pleasure to welcome you here for this very special evening. It's very special for us because it's 25 years since we first gave a scholarship to a brilliant Noon student coming to study at Oxford and Cambridge. And we just thought that that isn't the kind of occasion you should let pass without some kind of a celebration and recognition. Of course, it's all due to the wonderful vision of our founder, Vicky Noon. And, her vision was to bring brilliant young scholars from Pakistan and give them the chance to study at these two amazing universities that so many of us are involved in and had the good fortune to study and teach at, Oxford and Cambridge. And her vision also involved those wonderful, brilliant young scholars going back to help the development of their country. I'm going to say more about Vicky later at the dinner, but for now, I just want to recognize that 25 years, more than 200 scholars, the fund has probably spent more than £2 million worth in scholarship support. And that has been in partnership with the universities of Oxford and Cambridge and many other organizations. So in terms of leverage, if I can introduce a technical term, we've probably leveraged £5 million worth of support, because in some cases, and particularly with the very generous Cambridge Trust, we've given less than 50%. So it's been an absolute wonderful roller coaster, and we're just very, very thrilled to have made a difference. And looking at the list, obviously there were a few more scholars at Cambridge than Oxford, but we're very proud that in terms of gender, we're very balanced. And we've also worked very hard at making sure that our students come from regions, apart from the obvious centers of Karachi and Lahore, and to a lesser extent Islamabad. So we work very hard at that, and we look very hard at their statements about what and how they will contribute when they go back to Pakistan. So I was looking in our booklet, and please take at least 1 or 2 copies of our booklet. So our students in 1994 were Ms. Shaista Ehsan Khilji, who went to Queen's to study management studies, and Talat Mushtaq, who went to Girton to study economic theory. So that was at Cambridge. And if I can... And the student at Oxford was Nino Kazi, who went to Exeter to do Oriental studies. So they were our pioneer students, and we're going to track them down and see how they've got on. But I'm thrilled that we've also got 8 former Noon scholars here with us. And I thought you wouldn't want to hear too much from me, but it would be much more interesting to hear a few words from some of them, to hear how they got on, how they benefited from the scholarship. So if I can call on them, first of all, Awaz Bajaj. So Awaz was a Noon scholar way back in 2006, and now he's vice president of TMT Barclays Investment Bank. So probably we can have a tick there, count down to some success. But maybe you can tell us a little bit about your time as a scholar and beyond.
Thank you very much, Paul, and everybody. I'm very delighted to be here at, getting together. I left Oxford about 10 years ago, so it's great to be back. So my name is Awaz Bajwa. I was a Noon scholar back in 2006. I was at Oxford between 2006 and 2010, studied engineering here. I think, the foundation and its purpose is very close to my heart, not just because it helped me get to where I wanted to be, or at least kind of helped me figure out things in life. But coming from the background, I've related and taken the ethos of the organization together with me, both in my personal and in my professional life. I still remember, not too far away from here, at the Oxford Union, getting inspired by a lot of amazing speeches. I remember when Imran Khan was here, and amazing events and amazing speakers like those, are some of the things that shaped my my outlook towards life. It is an opportunity which couldn't have been possible without, the generous contributions by the Noon Foundation. Taking the ethos of the foundation, I've tried to play my part towards, the development, especially the economic development of people like myself in Pakistan. I founded or helped found one of the first venture capital funds now operating in Pakistan, called Sarmaya Kar, and run one of the first digital media startups back home. And hopefully, if everything goes well, you'll find me there more often than you find me here. But thanks again so much, and very delighted to be here.
Thank you very much, Awaz, and congratulations on all that you do. Now I'd like to call Dr. Moiza Sarwar, who was a Noon Scholar DPhil student in social policy back in 2007, and is now a senior research officer at the very distinguished Overseas Development Institute.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I think this is probably my first Lady Noon dinner, and having discussed talking to some of the trustees, I realized part of that is because when the Lady Noon Foundation gave me a grant, it was part of a grant, as opposed to their current policy where they do fund the whole scholarship. And I think that makes a big, big difference. And I'm very, very happy to hear that that's the route they've taken in terms of the kind of commitment you evoke in the scholars yourself. I got a grant in 2007, and it was part of a grant, and I was able to match it with something else to come from my first year in Oxford as a student of social policy. And I absolutely was in for a culture shock, which I found incredible. I don't understand, coming from a city of 24 million in Karachi, how shops close at 5 p.m. in Oxford. I don't get that even now. But it allowed me to study the thing I most wanted to study. I was looking at Kachi Abadis in Pakistan, and I was trying to figure out how other Kachi Abadis in other countries work. And my work today at the Overseas Development Institute continues to answer the same questions. How do pro-poor initiatives come around? How can certain policies, like the Benazir Income Support Program, which I worked for recently, how can you make that better? How can you make it more accessible? And I'm very happy for that. But more than that, I think for many people like me, Oxbridge education would not have been possible without financial help at all. But Oxbridge kind of has definitely given me much more than just a degree with the name Oxford in it. It's been able to give me the fact that, I can sit with ministers of finance from the Philippines, from Uganda, and say, oh, I'm not sure that's gonna work, or I think that will work. And be able to say that without doubting myself, or being able to absolutely bolster my own arguments. And one of the best things I've learned from this kind of comparative study program that I do, currently I work 50% of the time on projects related to Pakistan and 50% of the time on other low and middle income projects. The thing that I learned that is of most value is Pakistan is a crazily young country. We are very, very young. And in this whole, when you look at the national newspapers, there's this whole sense of pathology that sometimes Pakistan is like broken beyond fixing. Its government is broken, its people are broken, there's something culturally wrong. That is not true. It's a really young country. And it's lovely to kind of be able to have this comparison with other countries in similar positions and go like, okay, this is fine. This is a route we've gone down before in the world, and all it needs is time and investment. So thank you. So thank you for that opportunity to Noon. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Moiza.